Welcome to the Wonderful Seagulls podcast, where we explore the loud, clever, chaotic world of urban gulls. Before we dive into today's gull story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more urban wildlife, gull behavior, and neighborhood drama. If you walk into a dense breeding colony during the peak of spring, the sensory assault is absolute. Thousands of birds dive overhead, squabbling over every inch of ground in a scene that appears to be a completely unregulated riot. But there is a hidden logic here. Beneath the noise, the colony is locked into a rigid grid. Every single nest is surrounded by a strictly defined, fiercely defended spatial border. This spatial organization acts as the primary defense against the chaos of high-density living. It represents a calculated evolutionary trade-off, balancing the heavy energy costs of constant border defense against the raw survival of their offspring. The need for a territory is universal among gulls, but the actual shape of the battlefield changes completely depending on where they nest. The environment writes the rules of engagement. For ground-nesting birds, like the herring gull, the standard territory is a wide, horizontal perimeter around the nest cup. These borders bump right up against each other, forcing neighbors into endless daily boundary disputes. The black-legged kittiwake faces a much more severe constraint. Nesting on sheer maritime cliffs, their territory is strictly vertical. There is zero lateral buffer space. They defend the exact physical dimensions of the rock ledge itself, actively blocking competitors from landing. Compare that to the Sabine's gull out on the vast tundra. Because they breed in low-density, open marshes, their territories are wide and diffuse. With so much space, they don't fight their neighbors. Their defense is directed almost entirely toward approaching predators. Territoriality is a highly plastic adaptation. Gulls mold their aggression to fit the physical structure of their environment. Within these contested borders, a strict division of labor takes hold. While females take the primary shift, incubating the eggs, the male gulls act as the primary territorial guardians. Because male gulls actively compete with each other to secure and defend this prime real estate, evolutionary game theory favored those with larger skeletal frames, a biological trait known as sexual size dimorphism. Looking at this chart detailing body mass differences, we see males carry up to 20% more weight than females. They also possess heavier, deeper, more hooked bills, specifically engineered to increase their leverage in physical combat. Yet males aren't entirely mandatory for defense. In species like the western gull, female-female pairs frequently form stable bonds. They secure their own territories and successfully defend massive superclutches of eggs together. The drive to defend a territory is ultimately tied to raw physical resource holding power. Regardless of sex, a larger bird is better equipped to protect its offspring. Actual violence carries a massive risk of injury, which is a death sentence in the wild. As ethologist Nico Tinbergen observed, gulls developed a legal system of stereotyped displays to replace physical combat. It operates in escalating tiers. The first level is the long call. Gulls bow, then throw their heads back in a screeching acoustic signal of dominance. This often leads to the dear enemy effect, where familiar neighbors agree to a cautious truce without taking a single step toward each other. If an intruder pushes the boundary, they move to level 2, displacement activities. Instead of striking the opponent, a highly stressed gull will viciously attack the ground, tearing up chunks of soil and grass in a display of what they could do to the intruder. When diplomacy completely fails, the final tier is activated. Gulls will lock beaks in a brutal tug-of-war, execute high-speed ground charges, and launch rapid pecks directly at the opponent's face to forcefully evict them. All the loud squawking you hear from a rooftop is actually a highly calibrated multi-tiered negotiation system specifically engineered to avoid mutually assured destruction. These fiercely defended boundaries also face outward. The highly aggressive gulls at the colony's edge create an altruistic protective shield, blocking external predators and inadvertently keeping their passive neighbors safe. They also deploy collective defense systems. A shrill yow alarm call rapidly broadcasts the proximity of a threat, triggering trusted neighbors into density-dependent mobbing, where dozens of birds launch coordinated dive bomb attacks against incoming predators. But high-density living has a severe dark side. The greatest danger often comes from within. Many gulls act as opportunistic predators, actively waiting for a neighbor's chick to accidentally cross an invisible boundary line. If a wandering ring-billed gull chick crosses into a herring gull's territory, the defending adult will grab the trespasser and execute a drowning tactic, dragging it under the water to secure an easy meal. The gull colony is a biological paradox. It offers extreme collective protection from outside threats, while simultaneously harboring deadly, opportunistic violence within its own borders. This intense state of hypervigilance and localized warfare is strictly temporary. The aggression is intrinsically tied to their seasonal reproductive cycle. The moment the chicks learn to fly and leave the nest, those hormonal triggers fade away, and the rigid territorial boundaries dissolve. As winter approaches, the gulls migrate south and undergo a shift in social strategy. They abandon the fierce solitary defense and reform into highly mobile, gregarious, and peaceful flocks. Their advanced intelligence shifts from managing combat to mastering kleptoparasitism. Utilizing complex game theory, they figure out how to scavenge through human food in tight urban environments without needing to fight their neighbors. Extreme aggression is a massive energetic drain. Gulls only flip the switch when reproduction demands it, and immediately deactivate it when survival depends on mobility. The next time you hear a gull screaming from a local rooftop, remember that you are observing an ancient, precisely calibrated evolutionary negotiation for survival. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like the video and subscribe for more gull stories, urban wildlife, and the ongoing adventures of gulls.